All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be making this door actually work. So last time we put it in, now we're going to be using all of our interactable parts of it. We're going to be able to open it and then also transfer into the actual dungeon itself. So thank you very much for watching, and let's dive right in. Alright, so here's where we left off last time. I have a little 5-room dungeon here, and I've put little game objects just as markers to tell me my rough idea of what I want things to look like. I added a door over here. It's this locked door object that has, as a child of it, a trigger area. And I'm going to put a door script on this trigger area here. My locked door itself just has a sprite renderer and a box collider. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my my scripts here and into my objects, and I already created one. It's an empty script, but I'm just going to create a new C# script. So right click C# script, and then I called mine just door. So open this up in Visual Studio and see, totally blank script. Now what I want to do here, first and foremost, is I want to use all of that good interactable behavior that we have. The question mark that pops up over the player's head, knowing whether or not the player's in range, all of that stuff. And to do that, I'm going to have this inherit from interactable instead of inheriting from mono behavior. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an enum for the different kinds of doors. Since there's only a few kinds of doors that show up in games like this, I'm going to have that be limited. An enum, which I know we've done this before with the state machine, but just to remind you, is like a Boolean, only instead of being true or false, it can be true, false, in between a whole bunch of different values that you set by yourself. So I'm going to create a public enum, and I'm going to call it door type. And for now, I'm just going to have 3 door types. I'm going to have key, I'm going to have enemy, so you have to defeat all the enemies in a room, and then I'm going to have one that is a button door. I was going to say switch, but switch is a reserved keyword for switch cases. Now down here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an empty version of that. Oh, hold on, let me turn off my Discord here really quickly. All right, cool. So I'm going to create just an empty container for my door type. So I'm going to call this public door type, and I'm going to call it this door type. And then I'm also going to create a Boolean value for whether the door is open or closed. So public bool open. And by default, I'm going to set that to false. Booleans default to false anyway, which is why that's kind of grayed out in Visual Studio, because I don't need to write that, but I like to do it anyway. The other thing that I haven't been doing a ton of here is making headers in my scripting, and I usually do that. So I'm going to make a header here for this. A header is just something that allows you to have your inspector look a little more clean when you're adding scripts to things. So as a header, open close parentheses, and then open close quotations, I'm going to call this door variables. If you want to, you can go even further and create like tooltips. I don't necessarily think there's a reason to create a tooltip for this particular one, but there we go, we've got our header. Now if I go back into Unity here, I'm going to grab, so the door has just the regular box collider on it, but the trigger area is where I'm going to attach that door script, and it looks like I still have it attached from when I was doing the practice version of this a minute ago. So that's that. Now what I want to do is set up these signals. So first, my context signal. So I'm going to go to my scriptable objects, my signals, and I'm going to grab the context clue on signal and just put it right there. Nope, maybe. There we go. And then this is a key, and it's closed. So if I hit play, I should right away see all of that good interactable stuff that we made, where when our player comes up to it, there we go. We got our little context clue. Now ideally what we want is you push, a button, maybe say space, and that's going to check to see if you have a key, and if you have a key, open the door. So let's do that. So what I want to do here is I want to create a couple different methods, one for opening the door and one for closing the door. At the moment, I don't think I need either of these, so I'm just going to get rid of those. All right, so first we'll do a public void open, and then we'll do another one for close. Okay. All right, so sorry about that weird cut. So I am going to want an update method here really quickly. So I'm going to make a void update. And what I want to do for my update is I want to check to see if input dot good lord, it's been a while since I've used Unity, so I've forgotten everything, of course. Get key down. If input.getKeyDown, keycode.space, and pretty soon we'll go over how to do this with a gamepad instead of just using this explicit key code. That'll be relatively soon here, but for now I'm just going to use the space key because that's what I'm using to attack. So I'm going to check to see if the player is pressing the space button, if player in range, so if the player is in range, then I'm going to add a little bit of pseudocode here. I'm going to say, does the player have a key? If so, then call the open method. All right, so here's what the open method is going to do. The open method is going to, now we could have like an actual animation, but I didn't make an animation and this tileset doesn't come with one. So I'm just going to have the sprite renderer turn off. So I'm going to say turn off the doors sprite renderer. So that's going to make it look like the door opened because the door suddenly goes away. I'm going to set open to true. And then I also want to turn off the doors box collider, the one that's actually interacting with the physics. So that's what I'm going to do for the open method here. Now, there's a few different things I need to make a reference to. First, I need to check to see if the player has a key, which means I need to have reference to the player's inventory. I also need to have reference to the door sprite renderer and the doors box collider. So first I'm going to make a reference to the player's inventory. So public inventory. There we go. And I'll call this player inventory. And then I'm going to make a reference to the sprite renderer. This is going to be, I'll make this private sprite renderer, and then I'll just assign it in the start method. And I'll call this door sprite and private box collider 2D, and I'll call this physics collider. All right, now I'll make a quick start method here. All right, and here I'll assign the sprite renderer. I feel like I'm going really fast right now. Get component, because it's going to be attached to the same, well, no it's not. So I actually don't want these to be private or through the start method. So the reason I don't want to do that, okay, so the reason that I would do normally door sprite equals get component sprite renderer, normally it would look like this. I know some people really like it when I do trial and error, and some people probably hate it. So if you're one of the ones who hates my trial and error, I apologize. Normally I would just do this, but that only works if the component we're trying to get is attached to the same game object as the script. In this case, the script is attached to the trigger area, not the physics collider and the sprite renderer. So instead, I'm going to assign those publicly. So I'm get rid of that and change these privates to public. Okay, so again, if you're one of the people who doesn't like my trial and error, I apologize. Okay, so let's set all of this stuff here. So if I go back into Unity, in my trigger area, as soon as this compiles, assuming I didn't make any syntax errors. Okay, maybe. All right, cool. So I want to go to my scriptable objects, player stuff, and I want this to be locked here so that I'm not going away from it. Player stuff and my player inventory goes right there. My door sprite I'm going to get just from pulling the parent object onto it, and I'm going to do the same thing for the physics collider. All right, cool. And now I can unlock this from the inspector. All right, nice. Now, if I go in here, okay, so the other thing I want to do is if player's in range, I want to add another component to this. We're going to say, and this door type is equal to double equals, because we're checking, door type dot key. So we're only going to do this if the player has a key. So does the player have a key? If player inventory dot number of keys greater than 0, and in here I'm going to cut this, paste it right there. Before I call the open method, I'm going to remove a player key. So I'm going to say player inventory dot number of keys minus minus, and then I'm just going to call open. And then in the open method, I'm going to do door sprite dot enabled equals false. So I'm just turning it off. Open equals true. And then the box collider now. Did I call it door physics or physics door? Physics collider dot enabled equals false. Cool. All right, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back into Unity here. We'll let that compile for a second. I'm going to change the name of this. Instead of calling it a locked door, I'm going to call it a key door, so that I can have it as a prefab. And where are my prefabs? There they are. And I'll just pull this right in there. Cool. I'm using 2018.3 now too, so I get to have these neat nested prefabs. So like if I choose a prefab here, I can open the prefab in its own little scene, so I can look at it in this nice little compartmentalized view. It's something that Unity added in the newer version that I think is awesome. Anyway, so let's try this. I'm going to hit play. We know our player has more than one key. In fact, our player has 3 keys because I kept testing out the treasure chest. So up here. Okay, so the door, ooh, there we go. And I don't have an actual room transition set up in there. So let me do that really fast here. To do that, I'm going to go to my grid. Oh, I have to bring up the tile palette. I don't like how bulky this tile palette is. It always has to take up a certain amount of space, which I think is weird. All right, so in collision, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to go to my ground tile map. And I'm going to replace I want this one, I think. Oh, I'm still on the eraser. Mirror. Okay, cool. And now the other thing I want to do, take this tile palette away. The other thing I want to do is add a room transition. So in my prefabs, room transfer, Just gonna put that. Gosh, I'm not dealing with the grid anymore. Stop it. All right, so I'm gonna put you down here, and you're going to change the camera by 25 on Y, 0 on X, the player by 2 on Y, 0. And I'll call this like Dungeon Room 1. Super scary name, I know. And then my place text, mirror, and mirror. All right, so let's try this out and see if we broke all kinds of stuff, or see if it's actually going to work like it's supposed to. So we're going to go up here. Door goes away. Haha! Object not set to a reference of an object. All right, where am I? Room transfer. Line 32. Because it doesn't know what the camera is? Oh, that's because I don't have the camera controller script. So, my script's here. Camera movement. There we go. The target is the player variant. Smoothing 0.5. I think that's what I had it about. Oh yeah, and I gotta set the max and min position, don't I? It's gonna freak out. Okay, well there we go. Okay. Oh, haha. My rooms aren't 25 by 25. Good Lord. I really am sorry for those of you who are not fans of when I have trouble or need to do trial and error. Let's see, these rooms are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 16 by 12. So that means that my, where is it, room transfer needs to go up by 12. All right, let's try that again here. I meant this to be a nice short video. Sorry about this. All right, there we go. Oh, haha, I don't have any keys anymore. All right, so let's look at our player inventory. Let's give him a key. There we go. Dungeon Room 1. That's better. Okay, cool. And none of these work because I just made it look nice. I didn't actually make it do anything. So, all right, cool. So there we go. We've got key doors. Oh, ha! I didn't put the other side on the room transfer. Good Lord. All right. Let's duplicate this. Move this up there. And this is room transfer. This is going to go Y. -12. Let's look at our player inventory. Let's give our player a key. Ugh. So if any of you ever wondered how people get to learn how to do stuff, it's through doing it wrong many, many, many times. Nobody's ever born knowing how to do this stuff. Everybody has to be in the same place that you are. What was that about? Awesome. What was that all about? I'm going to move you up here. All right, so your camera change is -12. Oh, move the player in the wrong direction. Player change is -2. So it's one more time here. Good Lord. I almost feel like I should fast forward through a bunch of this stuff, but whatever. If you're still watching, thank you so much. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. Cool. Now, the trigger zone is still working, which is why we're still getting that question mark, but I'll save that for next time. All right. if you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. I've updated my GitHub for the project, and I'm going to try to be a little more accurate as far as like labeling every version of it going forward. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And there's a little message following this, and I hope to see you in the next video I put up. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving a like, subscribing to the channel, or telling a friend who might be interested. Also, please consider following me on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can earn access to tangible rewards, like early access to videos, backer-only videos and series, polls for future topics, streams, and even individual tutoring sessions. You can find a link to that in the description. And as always, have yourselves a wonderful day.